My name is Stefano Musacchi. I am Associate Professor at Washington State University and Endowed Chair for Tree Fruit Physiology and Management. And today I'm here to speak about pear pruning and especially Bartlett pruning. So, and we will define how we have to prune a spindle, for example, and which are the relation among the different organs of the trees that have to be managed with the pruning.
Today we're going to go over some of the principles of pruning high-density Bartlett pears that emphasize rotating wood, to develop new fruiting wood, to have high volume cropping of good-sized fruit, and to renew that fruiting wood.
And we need to prune the trees because we want a good balance between vegetative and reproductive activity. And the pruning is the way to achieve such kind of result. Trees is a sort of complex of organs that are in competition among them, and every activity interferes with the activity of other organs. For example, shoot grow and flower bud formation and other things like that. And with the pruning we can really handle this situation. As you can see in this scheme, all the activity are linked. So all the reproductive and vegetative activity can be influenced by how we manage our tree and how we prune the tree. Before to define the pruning, so we need to explain some terms that we will use in the video that probably not all of you are familiar. And of course we have some organ in the plant that we call probably in a different way, or probably just a different terminology. So we are speaking about Brindilla. Brindilla is a 1 year old shoot with a terminal flower bud. And this will be used to describe the habitus of different pear varieties. The second term is Tira savia. That is a kind of pruning that we are using to bring the vigor out of the branches, and usually is a shortcut with 2-3 vegetative buds done in 1 year old wood. You will have a very strong response doing this cut, and you will see that all the buds that are close to the stem will have a better size, and we will minimize the effect of blind wood doing this pruning. The last term is chicken paw, or as we call in Italy, zampe di gallo. So it's a very old structure of your trees that usually is very short spurs that grow one over the other for many years, as you can see in the picture. And this is really affecting your fruit quality, because usually this structure presents a very small size fruit bud, and this is really a big point. So because the size of the bud that we have in our trees will define also the size of the fruit. So small bud will provide small fruit usually, and bigger bud you will have such much better size in your fruit. Now we have to speak about the 5 different habitus, productive habitus of the varieties. So we have 5 habitus. The first is the type 1, that is Bartlett, the variety that we will speak today, and it's mainly on 1 year old wood with Brindilla especially, and then become also really good on 2 year old wood or 3 year old wood, and especially for fruit quality. Such kind of branches are the best to keep in your trees. And then we have a type 2 that belongs to different variety like apical or comis that are mainly producing on 2 year old wood. It's very rare that you can see fruit on a Brindilla in this kind of variety. And then a type 3 that is conference, that generally speaking is a variety that is productive on old wood, on 2 year old wood, and sometime on Brindilla too. So it's a sort of golden for pear, so it's able to produce on many kind of bearing wood. And the first type is a bosque that is completely different compared all the other varieties that we prune, and somehow is similar also to Anjou, because we need long pruning in this case, and not short pruning. That is the model that I propose for for Bartlett. And the last type is Passagrassana type 4, that is mainly producing on spurs. And in this case, you have to prune very hard to remove the small buds that I mentioned before. So those are, in summary, the 5 different kind of habitats that you can have on pears. Today we will speak in details about how to handle a spindle, and that is one of the most important systems for pears, and how to manage the branch and how to establish an orchard, the pruning of the orchard. So first of all, the spindle is a conic shaped tree that means first scaffold of branch, really strong, and then going up the branches become smaller and weaker. But what is important in pear is that you never bend the branches below 90 degrees, especially at the beginning, because the pear really doesn't like to be bended below such level of, because usually the branch becomes too weak and you have blind wood and the branches get exhausted. For this reason, I recommend to start with a crotch angle of 45, 50 degrees compared the vertical. To explain why we want to bend the branches at 45 degrees, we can look at those scheme here in this slide that show how the gradient of vigor will be in the different situation of bending. So if you want to keep your vigor in the top part of the branches, you have to use a 45-50 degrees angle. If you put the branches horizontally or below 90 degrees, you are reversing this vigor of gradient, and you will have a strong response close to the stem instead to have a strong response in the top of the branch. And this is really a key point for the pear pruning. Now we want to introduce the concept of dynamic pruning. That means that in the same time, in the same trees, we need 3 different kind of situation. So the first situation is the year 0, that is like that, when we remove branches that are in the wrong position or they are too big, but we don't want to make this point blind. We just need a new vegetative point. This new vegetative point in 1 year mold will provide some branches like that, some 1 year old branches that we can use as renewal. And these branches will be good because in 1 year more again, they become productive branches. And we need this mix of branches in all the trees that we are growing, because otherwise those branches get age, and when they become old, they are not so much productive, and if we don't have other branches ready to replace them, we will be in trouble. So, and this is the reason why I always say that the pruning is a 3-year cycle. So branches that are productive, branches that will be productive, and branches for the future. If we can classify the crop, in this case, this will be the crop 2015, this will be the crop 2016, and this will be potential the crop of 2017. So this is how I look at the pruning in the trees. Okay, and now here I'm removing the flower bud at the end, always to minimize the problem of blind wood. Okay, I did here and I did here and here because I have the same situation. Okay, this kind of pruning is necessary for keep the fruit very close to the stem, and when you are producing fruit on this kind of wood, you will have a very large size. When you are moving, if you don't prune and those become flower bud, you will have a situation like that. This branch will bend again, and all the fruit that will be produced here will be small. And we don't want small fruit, we want large size fruit. And this is the reason why we are using mainly 2 years and 3 years branches to optimize the quality of our fruit. And in this case, for example, it's very easy to handle because I can remove the vertical one like that, and I can cut that one like that, and that one like that. And I will have still good crop, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 flower bud. I don't need more in this case to have high quality fruit. And here at the same time I can remove these branches here, and I will have a nice branches next year that are growing in this way. So, and if you look, this is a very good example of how we can optimize the quality by the pruning, okay? So, and we are not, I usually say I'm not a wood producer, I like to produce fruit. So, and this is the reason why I prefer this kind of pruning. So, every small branches, if it's not close with a flower bud, or also sometimes if close, have to be cutted on a vegetative one, because with such kind of angle and this reaction, we will keep alive all those buds, and we minimize the blind wood that is already coming here. Okay, this is another good example of how we can manage small branches with the same concept of Tira savia at the end. So to minimize the problem of blind wood, especially in the second year, is really good to apply some technique like the girdling and the notching. And here is a good effect of the girdling. The girdling and the notching have the same kind of physiology effect. They just stop the apical dominance of the trees, and you will have a bud break and shoot formation, like you can see here. We have a girdling here, and you have one good shoot that is comes out, and here notching, 3 notching and 3 shoot. Each notch produce more or less one shoot, and another girdling here that is making a very nice shoot. The idea is also to have shoot with a very nice crotch angle. You can see that this apical dominance removal enhance also a wide crotch angle in the shoot, and this will be very good and easy to manage in this kind of tree. Here you can see the situation of 1 year old wood that we have to handle like we handled before. So we need to do some notching and some girdling. Usually the girdling is done every feet, more or less like that, with a clipper, and you turn around and you cut phloem and the cambium just to minimize the translocation of auxin from the top. And at the same time, when you are here, you can do with the clipper or with a small saw some notching like that is quite deep and go inside the wood and just over the bud, the vegetative bud. This kind of pruning technique done at the beginning of the spring, when there is the tip is green, really enhance the bud break and minimize the blind wood in Bartlett. That is a very bad variety for this trait. So the other thing that usually we do is remove completely, in this case, the apical dominance by removing the top. In this case you have the effect of the cut plus the effect of the girdling. So the girdling is working here, and this cut is working here. So in this way you have almost all the bud that have the possibility to open, and this minimizes really the blind wood and make such kind of formation that can be short, but usually short shoot close with a flower bud at the end, and it's exactly what we are looking for this kind of trees. To make more effective the girdling and the notching, we can apply growth regulator. Usually we apply a mix of gibberellin and cytokinin that enhance the effect of the girdling and notching by working on the elongation and multiplication of cells, and this is really effective when the application is done always with the green tip, and immediately after the notching and the girdling we can do the first spray, and then we repeat for 4 or 5 weeks continuously with low rate of product to keep just the shoot active and growing. And this really help also to minimize the effect of the blind wood. Now we are in front of a spindle, and how we build the scaffold of branch is really important, and especially how we bend the branch is important. Before we start to prune, we have to make some consideration about these trees. Here was done a good work in tying. Probably was tying a little bit too horizontal from my point of view, but it's still good to have such kind of situation. But it's very easy to see that this part of wood is already blind, and this is the effect of the horizontal bending. And this is great because you are building branches, but at the same time, if you look here, there is too many branches already. There are too many branches now, and this is the reason why we need to start to remove some of those branches, because we have to make the other able to grow. And usually when I have a situation like that, I start to prune the first scaffold that you can see is stronger, and I try to minimize the effect of the lateral branches because they are just bringing more wood in the trees. And I will remove also some big branches in the top, following always the rule of the 30%. For example, this branch here is not really suitable. But again, I want to enforce the concept that when you make a wrong bend like that, a wrong bending like that, you will have always sucker. So this is the point. So when you make such kind of turn immediately here, the tree will punish you with a big sucker that can you see is already 1 meter. So now I can start to prune, and in this case I will prune with the idea of the Tira savia, and I will minimize all the lateral wood that I have in the branches. Also, if I have new branches like that, I will try to introduce the concept of a little bit short pruning and try to keep these branches alive, and this will be a positive effect for the next year. So we will be back to see what's going on here. Here again, this is already bended. I cannot use it a lot, but I can use these small things here to make a Tira savia and remove this one and make this more vertical. So with a good angle here. And this one have to be removed. And again here, another branches that have already a ramification, same story. So I have to use a Tira savia. I cannot go too far inside because I remove all the crop, but I can remove the big suckers that are growing here. So, and in this case I have to clean up again the branches that I can use this one for 1 year, and next year I will remove when I have some. I can prepare also this one as Tira savia for the next year, and the next year I will be back here. So this is another opportunity. And first of all, when I finish to prune the first scaffold like that, again here you have a situation where you have branches that are ramified like that, and I will use always the concept of Tira savia. And again, I'm using this one this year, and next year I will cut this one to minimize the problem of production of crop. In this case I have already some problem here because I have too many branches. This one is too low. I don't need this kind of branches. I have to remove it. And all this wood here that are here is just making shadow in the trees, and I need to clean up some of them. So if we count, after the pruning of the first scaffold, we have 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 5 branches. So this is more or less the final result of this kind of pruning. So now we are going up, and of course we have some situation that we have to handle. For example, we already choose this one with a better angle like that. It will be fine. And here we have the same story. So we have to remove it and try to keep always the tip higher of the insertion of the branches. Same story here. We can remove this stuff here and make the branches growing. Again here, long cut here and remove the sucker. So when we are going up, we can see that we have some branches like that can be used again, and this one can be cleaned up, and I don't need this kind of things. I have just to remove it. So the situation is like that. I always choose the vertical one. Also, if this is can be a good alternative, I don't want to have this kind of angle. So I really like the vertical. So in this case, I will remove this one. I will remove also this one that is competing with the axe, because it's really big to stay here. And I will cut like that. So minimize these things. Will be all of those at the same size, more or less, and are not competing with this one. That will be straight and stronger. So, and the trees have to be always vertical. So more or less we end the trees now. We have a situation like that. We have small trees and big trees. So in this case, the other idea is to manage those trees in a different way, because in this case we have already a certain height achieved, and we need to maintain these things, and here we have a different situation. For this reason, I recommend also to work by zone or layer. So the small one has to be cut all at the same height, and the big one in a different one, okay? Just to provide 2 different or 3 different levels of cutting in the field. Because if you don't prune those one, you will have a big area of stem without any branches if you don't reduce. And at the same time here, you have to remove some of the competitor of the axe to allow the trees to grow. So, and for this reason, I really recommend to have 2 different levels of pruning. So in this case, I have already all this part of the trees that are blind or not have enough shoots. And for this reason, I will cut like that. And I will make a strong Tira savia in the top of the trees. And I will have a lot of vigor here, but at the same time, removing the apical dominance, I will have good shoot here. And I can keep also those one now, because I cut with the Tira savia, and this will react very well. Probably those branches are not yet compromised like the branches before, because I can have some bud break here at the same time. And if I can also do a girdling here to minimize the problem of the blind wood that I'm facing in this area. Because when the tree grows too fast, this part here become blind usually, okay? And this is the reason why doing this cut, I can try to minimize the problem of the blind wood again. So in this case I have a different situation, because can you see that this tree is weak, and you have already flower bud here, and you can if you don't prune this one, you can compromise a lot the growth. And for this reason, I keep these trees lower. So you can see that we have already 2 different levels in the orchard. So I need probably 1 or 2 years more to grow these trees compared to the other one, okay, because the structure is completely different. And in this case I can also do something like that. There I leave the branches, here I remove it. Why? Because I need to have some vegetative growth that are coming here. And at the same time, these big branches here is competing, and for this reason I will cut also this one. And I will always leave a stub like that, okay, to have some response, some new shoots that are growing from this point. So I try to remove a lot of branches here to keep the trees growing, and here I leave because the trees is already have already a good size. So now we have a different situation. We have a mature orchard that is trained more or less with the same principle that we saw in the young one, and you can see that like in the young one, all the limbs are the same age, and they are very old now, because you can see that there is some old structure on the trees, and this is a very productive orchard. The result, you can see that there is still good flower bud, but what we need now is start to try to recover, because we will have to face that the fruit quality will decrease in the future for sure, and for this reason we have to make some renewal and try to correct, for example, the branches that are too much bended like that, and in this case we really need to perform the 3-year cycle pruning and start to have some renewal in the trees, otherwise the production will decrease very fast. And for this reason I really think that some of those branches, for example, can be completely removed. For example, the big one there can be completely removed and start a new one, because this is really something important also. And because this is, you can see here, these branches is really big and is making shadow everywhere. So, and I know that I need to remove these branches, because otherwise I will be very quickly in trouble. So, and I recommend to make no more than 1 big cut per year. So because we already have such situation, and 1 big cut is enough, and we will have some possibility to renew the trees like that. In this case you have a branch with a quite good angle, and in this case you have a possibility to make a tira savia again here, and do some pruning to control the situation. And especially it's nice to see this situation when we have some 2 years old wood that have already good flower bud. In this case, if we want to minimize the effect of sizing, we can short like that, and this will be used just this year to have fruit, 2 or 3 fruit, because it cannot be carried more than that, this kind of branches. And what we need to know is that these branches was already open, and you have another possibility here, and now I prefer to go back and open a little bit more and work on this kind of situation when we will have some renewal. And also another thing that is possible to note here, that we have very difficult situation when we are handling this poor type formation that in Italy we call chicken leg because they seems the leg of the chicken. So and you can see here that those usually don't provide high quality fruit, and in some case will be very nice to thin some of those to reduce the number of fruit that have to be carry on those kind of formation. And also those kind of cut can bring some renewal formation. So, and of course you have some good bud, and usually the rule is that the bud that are going up like those one are really good, and you can see the size. So those are really good size bud. But when the bud are coming down, usually, or they are in the bottom part of the branches, usually they are smaller, and it's better if we have two to leave just one to optimize the size. And again, when I can handle, I always try to put a small tira savia at the end of the branches, and this is the situation. So this is the kind of situation that we can have. Is quite good, because you have 2 years old wood, quite old wood that can be renewed. We can try to make new shoot from big cut, and this is the kind of branches that we can really handle in a mature orchard. So we have also some example of what's going on when you bend in a wrong way like that. You go down. Here is everything is already exhausted, and here you have a strong reaction, but it's not in a positive way. Now we have another possibility. We cannot remove everything in 1 year because it will be a dramatic reduction of the production, but we can really do something like that. Prepare the branches for the next year, remove a part of these branches, and this will be the new one, and I can have some lateral here, and this one can be renewed too. So I can remove this one and work in this kind of situation. And here again I clean up a little bit the small wood inside, and this one can be used again for crop. Just cutting one good spur will be perfect. And when I have such old wood, I can try to work a little bit. What I don't like is wood that are going down like that with just few buds. In this case I have to short, because here the fruit will be very small. So in this case I reduce the number of buds, and I will work on the quality of this bud. And I'm ready to try to recover this branch that was growing down by selecting a new one, and still have some possibility to carry some fruit here. And this is a process that requires 2 or 3 years to recover branches like that. In this case we are working on a Bibaum trees made with 2 axes that are splitting the vigor of the trees, and this is really the way to go when you are using vigorous rootstock and you want to minimize the effect of the vigor, because if you have just one axe, it's very difficult to achieve such kind of result. So small shoots with terminal flower buds. So and the B axis is really good in splitting the vigor, minimize the shoot growth, and enhance flower bud formation, especially in such nice condition. And of course the B axis is important also because you double the number of the axis without double the number of the trees. So you are using the same amount of trees that you want per acre, but you have the double number of axes, and this really doubles the number of vegetative points and reduce usually the length of the shoot, because all those shoots are competing for growth. So this is a big advantage of the B-axis trees. Here we have a situation where we have 1 year old wood that can be prepared to be branches. And these branches was bended in summer with a crotch angle of at least of 40-45 degrees and or 60 to keep in any case the tip of the branch always higher compared the insertion of the branch in the trunk. This branch can be handled like that, so we can remove the top of the branches in the length that we would like to have. And this we have a strong reaction here and 3-4 shoot that will grow and become exactly like that here that we can see. In this case we have a branch that is 2 years old, and this is the evolution of this one. If you can see next year, this branch here will be like that. And you can see here that the result. So this cut will induce a strong response, and we will have at least 3 big shoots that are growing and keep the subflow of the branches very active and growing, and make those shoots growing. But at the same time, we will, with this angle, we minimize the sucker that can be produced, and we will obtain, as you can see here, a huge amount of flower bud that will be very useful to have an early crop. And now that we are at the end of the second year, we will work again with the Tira savia to minimize this situation. In this case, I will remove this one, and I will keep going with the leader. So in this case, I will have 3 shoots again that will grow from this side and will keep very alive those buds. We will have next year pair and shoot on these branches, and these become a permanent branches in our trees, and will be the first scaffold of the branch in these trees. And now I will remove some big branches that have a bad orientation, or especially if they grow inside, have to be removed, so to allow more space and light during the season. I will remove also some internal shoot like that, also if they are small, because they are competing for light, and all the upright have to be removed. So just to have a good first scaffold of branches in the bottom. And now here I'm trying to minimize the problem of these branches, and I redirect the branches in the direction of the row. And here, same story, I will cut on 1 year old wood to enhance a vegetative response here at the top of the branches. In this case, that the branches is older, I can use the concept of Tira savia, and I cut the old branches and I leave 1 year old shoot, and I cut him again with 3 vegetative bud, 2-3 vegetative bud, and I will remove the competitor. This will keep the vigor out of the trees, and will minimize the problem of blind wood in these branches. Here again I have a small branches here that is perfect to apply the Tira savia cut like that, and we will have a very strong reaction here, and this will be really a good wood that for the next year. So really well oriented, open, like that one and that one too. So, and this is a perfect situation. In this case also this one is vertical, I have to remove it like that, and all the branches that I have like that will be cutted just the top, okay, because I need to keep this really good angle. So this is the concept that is quite important to understand. So pear cannot be bended below the 90 degrees, because when you do something like that, you are making blind this wood, or you are making big sucker that are growing. For this reason, I have a rule. So the tip of the branches have to be always higher than the point where the branches is inserted in the axe. So this will be really a good crotch angle for these branches, and this will be full of flower bud the next season. And this is the reason why we cut here. Same story here. I need a little bit more angle like that, and here again this one is older. I can remove completely this part here like that, and apply again the Tira savia cut at the end of the branches. So, and remove some small vertical one. So in this case I really remove all the small vertical, and I keep the vertical one that have flower bud close. And you can see that the trees, just with few cut, now is really balanced. You cannot see big wood or wrong wood in the different position of the trees. And probably here one cut is left. Just remove this shoot that is too vertical, because we already have one good shoot here. So and the tree is done. I remove one more here, and it's done. Now I will remove some competitor of the axe, okay, like that, and when I cut, I will always leave a stub. So this stub allowed to have some new shoot that can be obtained by the two basal bud that we have here, or some vegetative bud that we have, and they will have really a good result next year. And again, I will remove another competitor like that because it's too big. And there is a rule, so if the size, the diameter of the branches is over 30% of the diameter of the axe, we have to remove it. Otherwise, those become strong and competitor with the top. Finally, after this field day in pruning trees, I can summarize what can be a take-home message from all of you that is quite simple. To remember that not all the varieties are the same and they have to be managed in a different way. Then I introduce a concept of dynamic pruning, so it means that we need to rotate the branch to minimize the aging of the bearing wood, and this keep your quality very high in your trees, because you will have always new bearing wood formation that will have good sized bud and will keep your production with a high level of quality. And the last take-home message is if you are using bis-axis trees or three-axis sometime, we are really working very well to control excess of vigor, and this can be really a new idea to handle the vigor with the rootstock that we have available right now. So I think that this can be really a big change and make a lot of difference in vigor control in our industry. Thank you for your attention.